AI agents and the network effects happening and the amount of volumes that will be going on, the economy will change forever. There are two things that will happen, and I've mentioned this on here at least a few times. When Caitlin Long wrote a piece about the velocity of money changing, the velocity of money has been a dead thing. And the reason it's been dead is because the world's assets have gone up so much. So when you go through the whole what Bitcoin represents, it represents the fact that the fiat assets have gone up so much, the distribution of wealth has gotten worse, and it makes people angry, and the government just keeps solving this problem. They're not going to need to do that anymore. And the reason they won't need to do that is a combination of demographics. So there is $700+ trillion of wealth on the planet. It's in assets. 2/3 of those assets are in dormant assets. But it was a dormant asset that you'd have to go through hurdles to go borrow against. With tokenization and with AI agents transacting a lot, the velocity of money is going to increase significantly.
Jordi Visser, veteran macro investor and author of the VisserLabs Substack, has been watching Bitcoin closely, and what he sees tells a compelling story about where the world's most talked about asset is headed. Until October of last year, Bitcoin was outperforming both stocks and bonds, standing out as one of the strongest assets within the broader macro trade. Since then, sentiment has shifted. Bitcoin is now being sold alongside gold and silver as investors brace for a more hawkish stance from central banks and a strengthening US dollar. It currently remains below its record high of $126,198 reached last October. But stepping back reveals a very different picture. Over the past decade, Bitcoin has outperformed every major asset class by a staggering margin. Since 2018, it has delivered average annual returns of nearly 29%, more than double that of stocks and gold, and in a completely different league from bonds. The trade-off has been volatility, with average intra-year drawdowns exceeding 50% over that same period. Bitcoin has always rewarded patience. Visser believes the next major chapter for Bitcoin will be written by artificial intelligence, AI agents, and tokenization. AI is pulling in massive global investment. Tokenization is reshaping financial markets by creating digital versions of traditional assets that trade around the clock. AI agents are growing, capable of executing autonomous financial decisions, fueling demand for blockchain-based payment networks. At the heart of Visser's conviction sits one striking fact. Over $700 trillion of global wealth exists, with roughly 2/3 locked in illiquid assets like real estate and private companies. Tokenization unlocks that capital, and Bitcoin sit at the center of that transformation. But before we dive in, make sure you subscribe and turn that bell icon on, because every update we drop could be the one that changes how you see the market.
So the debasement trade is not just long gold, long silver, long Bitcoin. And yes, Bitcoin was part of it. Until October of last year, Bitcoin was outperforming the stock market. Bitcoin was outperforming bonds significantly. So gold, silver, and Bitcoin get lumped in. It's amazing how Bitcoin gets lumped into software. We get a bear market in that. It gets put in with the debasement trade. Now the debasement trade's washing out. You got gold and silver going down because Kevin Warsh came out and said, well, I think I'm going to be more hawkish. And everyone said, that's it. Dollar rallies, everything's good. And I'm like, we still have a deficit. We still have massive debt. Nothing is going to change because he speaks a certain language. And we've got a lot of people. I mean, Warren Pies put out a great chart this week. I was going to send it to you, which just showed the part of the economy that is now the information and computer side versus residential investment. Residential investment is not moving, which means house prices are not moving, which is where the bulk of the Americans would like to see this bull market. AI going up does not benefit everyone the same way. So I think the debasement trade has reached a point where, because bond yields or bonds that just stay stable, they don't do anything. This was really, people had reduced in their wealth management portfolio. I think some pension funds had done this. We had a scenario that we were overweight this debasement trade, underweight bonds. And when the trade starts doing poorly and it coincides with us running into the end of a quarter, and everyone should remember this, Bitcoin is now an asset that people invest in. It's part of the asset allocation process. People make decisions at the end of a quarter, and you tend to get a lot of people that are bailing out. You also have people shorting the hell out of the thing, because I'm reading more Michael Saylor stuff, and that MicroStrategy is going to blow up and they're going to have to sell. So we really have The mob is not involved, meaning retail's not involved. It's a bear market. You have institutions that hate Bitcoin. You have the debasement trade going down. You still have the software names like Adobe and Salesforce not bouncing at all. Bitcoin is just lumped in with a bunch of bad stuff right now.
When will it recover?
For me, this is a very simple thing. And I say simple. It's what I do believe in terms of the end game for AI. AI agents and the network effects happening and the amount of volumes that will be going on, the economy will change forever. There are two things that will happen, and I've mentioned this on here at least a few times. When Caitlin Long wrote a piece about the velocity of money changing. Now, this is a TradFi banker who understands GDP, and we both respect Caitlin a lot. She knows that world really well. And so do I. Velocity of money has been a dead thing. And the reason it's been dead is because the world's assets have gone up so much. So when you go through the whole what Bitcoin represents, it represents the fact that the fiat assets have gone up so much, the distribution of wealth has gotten worse, and it makes people angry. And the government just keeps solving this problem. They're not going to need to do that anymore. And the reason they won't need to do that is a combination of demographics. So there is $700+ trillion of wealth on the planet. It's in assets. 2/3 of those assets are in dormant assets. It's money. A house is money. If you can get cash for it, you can go spend it. It's money. It's like what SpaceX was. SpaceX was a dormant asset. It was a private thing. And over the course of the next few months, a lot of people are going to be millionaires and actually can go cash in their money. You'll have billionaires that can go cash in their money. Then they can turn around and go spend that money. They can go buy houses. They can do whatever they want. But it was a dormant asset that you'd have to go through hurdles to go borrow against. With tokenization and with AI agents transacting a lot, the velocity of money is going to increase significantly.
Jordi Visser is making a bold call. Artificial intelligence is the most transformative technological development of our time. According to Visser, AI carries the potential to dramatically reduce production costs, solve long-standing global challenges, extend human longevity, and accelerate economic growth in ways the world has never seen before. Many investors worry that technological revolutions often end badly. Visser disagrees. He argues the AI boom is far from over, pointing to continued strong demand for AI infrastructure as proof that this cycle still has significant runway ahead. Long-term commitments across the industry spanning data centers and chip manufacturing suggest supply may remain constrained for years, creating a sustained environment for further investment. The numbers are beginning to validate that conviction. Global AI sales, excluding China, reached $25 billion in the first quarter of 2026, surpassing the industry's estimated $21 billion in depreciation costs tied to data centers and chips. Notably, this is the second consecutive quarter in which AI revenues have exceeded those capital costs, a meaningful milestone signaling that AI companies are starting to cover the expense of their own infrastructure build-out. The margins are still thin, but the trajectory is unmistakable. Looking ahead, Visser expects AI investment to remain strong throughout the second half of the year. Technological progress is accelerating. Demand shows no sign of softening, and the structural forces driving adoption are only deepening, reinforcing his conviction that AI's most consequential chapter is still being written. Let's get back to the interview.
Artificial intelligence is the most important thing to happen to the human race from the basis of making things cost less and solving some of the world's problems that have been with us for a long time, turning longevity into something that's parabolic, turning the market into something that's parabolic. Most importantly, allowing democratization of education, democratization of people to have as much information as the people I started at the beginning that say this always ends badly. And this has been the thing. And so Micron comes out. Obviously, the AI trade is not over. I will do a lot on the video this weekend to just show the quotes. They've got long-term commitments from so many different people now. Their supply and demand will be out of balance until 2028. That doesn't mean that's definitely going to happen. But the reality is the AI portfolio and the way that things moved, I'm going to say it again and again. The world changed in October of last year, or November of last year, when Opus 4.5 came out. We've gone from 4.5 to 4.6 to 4.7 to 4.8 to Mythos to Fable 5 to the government basically taking control of it. And GPT 5.5 is out. The AI trade is doing excellent. And the second half of the year, you will continue to see strength. And when the velocity of money goes through, people have to realize that GDP at the end of the day is a total sum of transactions. And transactions are going to be happening faster. And the pieces of the pie that make up public companies are middlemen. They're taking taxes on all of this stuff. And so there'll be less taxes in terms of the friction that goes on. And every year it'll get less and less. So I've always believed that the third wave of crypto, which in Elliott wave terms means the most explosive one, would happen when the agents came. And I just want to leave people with one other part of Elliott wave. If I'm right about that, and I believe AI is the durable part. So for those of you who are bearish AI, where Bitcoin is gone to me is if AI collapses, which to me is not going to happen. AI is a real thing. It's going to keep moving forward. AI agents are a real thing, and we'll just keep making progress. As that goes, for the end of the second wave, you need people believing that we're going back to the depths. Now, the depths of FTX and all of that, this is not that. There are real people buying real businesses at dirt cheap prices right now. And I know some of the same people you do that are involved in this. These are really good people that have built businesses before that see value in this because they see what the NFTs will be as a positive thing, the need for them, why the blockchain is necessary in a world of deep fakes. All of these thematic things that I've written about in my Substack for 18 months, they're still in play. So I think people just need to remember things change very quickly. Micron was $60 when you and I started this. It's now $1,200 and change. Things can change very quickly.
The blocks are being built and the chain is already moving. Bitcoin has spent a decade proving that patience is the real edge, and its most powerful chapter may still be ahead. AI is reshaping industries. Tokenization is unlocking trillions trapped in illiquid assets, and blockchain infrastructure sits at the center of it all. The investors who recognize these converging forces early will not just witness this transformation, they will own a piece of it. Is Bitcoin just getting started, or are we already inside the biggest financial shift of our lifetime? If this video opens your eyes, hit like, subscribe, and stay with Bitcoin Frontier Hub because the next block of insight is already being built for you.